Hello, my loves. Hello, beautiful women. Thank you so much for being here. We're moving into day 6 of Circle Skills, and I wanted to talk to you about holding space. So each of these days is building on the last one, and day 5 was around intentional sharing and listening. And of course, those form part of the idea, the concept, the notion of holding space for one another. And so today I just wanted to dive in a little further into what holding space is, or at least what it is when I'm using the term, and invite you to think about what holding space means for you. Now, obviously, holding space is a vast topic. I have a 14-day immersion in it with a lot of resources in there. And it's a foundational course. It's a prerequisite for Circle School because the whole part of our role as circle holders, a huge part, not the whole part, but a huge part of that is as space holders. And so exploring our capacity as holders of space, as space holders, I love saying that word, both for holding space for ourselves, holding space for others, and then holding space within circle, is an ongoing journey, an ongoing exploration, an ongoing deepening into that. So let us just come together as always for a few moments, just coming into your heart space. You may wish to place one hand there or plug in 2 fingers. And just using the breath, just breathing in and out, and just using the breath to call yourself fully present, or as present as you're able to be. As you're breathing in, calling yourself present, and as you're breathing out, just allowing yourself to arrive, to soften, to relax into this moment of time and space. As we're breathing in and out, just feeling that energetic web connecting us. As we step over the threshold together and set a joint intention to create a safe and sacred container between us, trusting that all that comes through will serve us and the greater whole. Taking a deep breath in and letting it out. So welcome to day 6, and I'm Lisa, circle holder and founder of Circle School, and this is really an introduction to some of those basic circle skills that are integral to holding a powerful and transformative space. And today I want to touch on holding space. So I want you to think firstly about holding space for yourself and the circumstances in which you have been able to do that. Whether that is something that you feel very well resourced to do, whether it's something you feel very experienced at doing, whether it's a completely new idea to you and perhaps you're not really clear what holding space is. So please do pop in the comments your reflections, your thoughts, your comments, your experiences of what that is. So I think it's important to begin with just reminding ourselves that actually holding space for ourselves really goes against our survival instinct. Our survival instinct tells us to run from pain. So when we find ourselves in positions of discomfort, of pain, of anxiety, of emotional upheaval, all of those things, our survival instinct is to run away. And what we're asking ourselves to do when holding space for ourselves is to challenge that and to commit to being present, to really grounding into something deeper that can keep us present in that discomfort. And so you'll see that the more we deepen into capacity to do that for ourselves, the more we're able to do that in circle and to demonstrate that and model that and support other women to do that for each other within the circle space. It requires us to be present, really present, and drawing on that inner well of love and compassion. There's no requirement to fix anything. Holding space isn't about fixing or healing or saving or solving. It's about allowing ourselves to be fully present with what is. This for me is a daily practice. Whether you do a gentle body scan and allow your attention to come to areas of tension or pain or discomfort and not trying to change it, not judging it, just to allow yourself to be really present with what is. And personally, I have found a lot of practices of tuning into the physical body really helpful at deepening into my capacity to be with what is. There's a special type of healing, for want of a better word, that happens when we are just deeply present with ourselves or with another or in a group, such as a circle. When we're not trying to run away, when we're not trying to immediately fix anything or solve the problem, when there is no necessity to react, we're allowed for our response to be as it is, but we don't need to react to what is happening. In that space, you'll notice that your heart really connects to the interconnectedness of all things. By being able to be fully present with what is, you feel that deep connection. And this is especially magnified when we're in circle. When someone is sharing and the group are able to hold her with deep reverence and presence and love and compassion, you'll feel that deep interconnectedness with each other, but with all of life. A great tool when we're holding space for ourselves or others is the breath. And you'll notice, those of you who've worked with me, if you're already enrolled in one of my programs, or at the beginning of pretty much anything that I do, I will always take a few deep breaths, if nothing else. Sometimes I'll do a longer practice, but coming into the breath is such a powerful resource that we all have. It's a very democratic resource. We all get to breathe. And so just being able to come in and think of yourself breathing as fully as you can. So it's almost like you're breathing horizontally and vertically. So you're like breathing and breathing through all parts of you. So through your body, and allowing that to come out through your energetic body as well. And it's such a beautiful, I was going to say the word tool, but it's not really a tool, is it? But it's something we take for granted. And yet it can really allow us to ground into the present moment. It can keep us in that space where we can be with discomfort, with pain, with tension, where we can be fully present to what we're hearing and follow our breath in and out in that time. And our breath gives us, again, that sense of connectedness to all things, to the earth, the elements, the light above, because that is the consistency. That is what is always there. And ultimately, when we come into our breath and we come to the rise and fall of our chest and connect to that heart space, we're then connecting into where our intuitive intelligence lies, to where our innate wisdom resides. And so by using that breath to help us connect to our heart space, we're then tuning in to that, wisest, higher part of ourselves that again allows us, supports us in holding space for ourselves and one another. One of the phrases, or one of the requests that I often sit with for myself and when I'm opening space for others, is a request to be taken to that part of you that is unshakable. So there's a part within you, I guess it's like your inner sanctuary, where you can connect to that higher part of yourself, where you're able to go within and know that whatever this discomfort, this tension, this pain is, there is a place within you that can be present with that. So even if on the outside everything feels to be in chaos or difficulty, when we can go within and anchor in to that part of us, we're able to sit with that and really hold that space for ourselves and for others. So that's just a brief overview, perhaps, of what I see holding space is. Now, there are many, many different ways of doing it. As I said, I've got a 14-day immersion into it because there's a lot of beautiful intricacies and I guess aspects that I've explored and experienced, and I share those within that immersion, including we look at some shadow space holder archetypes, we look at the effects of recognizing yourself as an empath or highly sensitive. We look at what being intuitive, how that can influence, everyone's intuitive, but how that can influence your role as a space holder. We look at boundaries, dealing with challenges as a space holder. So there's so many kind of practical aspects of holding space. But for the purposes of this is really just connecting to that inner space holder that resides within you and allowing yourself to practice holding space for yourself in order to help you hold space for others. So we talked earlier today about the sacred witness. And that for me really is the archetype of the space holder. It's about seeing, hearing, and companioning others. So it's a relationship. For me, holding space when you're holding space with someone else is you're in relationship with that person, and the same in circle. You're in relationship with those that you are holding both an energetic and a physical space for. So if we think about the qualities of that relationship that's built on trust, empathy, insight, patience, noticing, perhaps silence. Silence is a fantastic skill. Acknowledgement of feelings, and this is different to validation. Self-awareness, and also non-verbal elements. And again, I touched on that earlier today. So really listening to all parts of a person, all facets of a person, not just what they're saying. And as I said, it's a real human instinct to run from pain. So we're actually challenging that instinct. And if you think about that for yourself, you're allowing yourself to be with what is rather than trying to find a solution, rather than trying to fix or heal or save or distract. Many of us distract ourselves or simply avoid what is going on. And when you're holding space for others, it's similar. We're holding a space without trying to fix or heal or save, without indulging them, without wallowing in a victim, and without trying to distract them or get them to avoid what is going on. So I just want to share with you four principles of holding space for you to dive into, and just ask yourself how these come up for you. So the first is, as always, your intention. So when you come into circle, when you're holding space for others, what is your intention in terms of being the sacred witness? So for me, my intention is always to see your magnificence. So just seeing what is the lens through which you're holding that space. When you're listening to those sharing, what is your intention? Maybe it's to hear their truth. Perhaps it is to listen to them in such a way that they can only flourish. Maybe it is to listen to them in such a way that they can go to that deepest part of themselves and feel safe to do so. So come back to your intention. Right at the beginning of this Circle Skills course, we talked about intention and meaningful purpose, and that'll keep coming through. So what is your intention in being the sacred witness for the women who come to your circles? And then asking yourself, how can you be fully present for that? How are you fully present? Because holding space requires all of you, requires your presence, both your personal presence and your full attention. So just thinking about how you do that outwardly, so that we know that you're fully present, but also what is that inner process for you about maintaining that presence? Bearing in mind, you may have 10, 12, 14 women in circle, and each of them will be sharing multiple times or several times during that. So how do you maintain the integrity of yourself and your presence for that process? There's no right answer here. It's just an opportunity for self-inquiry as to what supports you in that, what will keep your attention there. And then listening. This is really what we're doing, we're listening. So thinking about the different types of listening. You may have heard of active listening. My kind of favorite phrase about listening is listening without agenda. And if you listen to the class earlier today, that was around intentional sharing and listening. So listening without agenda is really powerful because it invites you to disengage from needing to respond. So you're not listening thinking about what you're going to say. It's not a conversation. You're not listening thinking that you have to offer something wise. You're not listening with a view to finding a solution or giving advice or sympathy or platitudes or offering your expertise. You're listening, and it's the act of listening that is working its magic. And then finally, questions. So again, depending on the type of circle that you're holding, this may or may not be appropriate. But if you have scope either for you to ask expansive and reflective questions of the women in circle, or if you have agreed as a circle that people can offer reflection, there's a way of, for example, when people have shared in my circles, we'll either say, thank you, I'm complete, or thank you for witnessing me, so that we get to say that we have finished sharing. And we can also ask, say, I'm open to reflection. So when it's somebody else's turn, they can offer reflection. And I just offer as a consideration is to be very clear that the women that you're holding space for have the capacity to offer that reflection. Reflection can very quickly become advice. So it may be for your closed circles where it's the same group of women gathering regularly and there's a level of intimacy and trust that has been cultivated, and that is a safe place for offering reflection. But even within your open circles, where that group of women have maybe never met before and they've come together for the first time, it may be appropriate for you to offer reflection or insight after some shares through questions that allow whoever is shared to express more of her truth. So it's not about quizzing her, but giving her the opportunity to perhaps go a little bit deeper or a little bit broader, or just go to another level of what is still there if you get a sense that there is more there that could be shared. She may not wish to, obviously, and you wouldn't force that, but if that opportunity feels right, if you feel into that energy. So just coming back to the beginning, for me, that holding space is practicing holding space for yourself, practicing holding space throughout your day, in your conversations, in your interaction with others, and then bringing that to holding space in your circles. It is all building as a foundation on which you're building, and consistently, I hope, deepening into that capacity. And there's that beautiful Parker Palmer quote, which I absolutely love, but it really is that the human soul doesn't want to be fixed or healed or saved. It wants to be witnessed and companioned. And that's what we're doing in Circle. We're witnessing one another and we're companioning one another. And we're taking away that need to tell each other what to do. And that is incredibly powerful. So thank you so much for joining me. That was a very brief overview of holding space, but it is obviously an essential skill for Circle holders. So I hope it was helpful. I hope it offered you some insights. And please leave your comments or questions below. And of course, the next round of the Holding Space Immersion starts on Monday. So now is the time to jump in so you can catch up on the existing content, and we'll start a live round on Monday and dive even deeper into what is already there. That is the foundational course. It's the prerequisite for Circle School. So if you're coming into Circle School, this is a good week to join because then you'll also get the live round of the Holding Space Immersion, and it's included in that for this round. It won't. It will be done slightly differently next year. So please jump in. Circle School itself starts on the 30th of September, and so giving yourself the time to enjoy the Holding Space Immersion will be really, really powerful. And the reason it's now a prerequisite was from feedback from the women in the last round of Circle School. Some of them had done the Holding Space Immersion and some of them hadn't. And the general consensus was it's really helpful because, again, Circle School, we go into so many other aspects of holding circle. It's a 9-week course, so you can find the full curriculum on my website, but there's so many other aspects that we actually only have 1 week on holding space, whereas the immersion is a 14-day course. So with a lot of content, a lot of resources in there. So I invite you in. I would love to sit in circle with you. And if you have any questions, please let me know. I hope you're having a beautiful evening, and I will be back tomorrow for day 7. Mwah. Bye for now.